I wanted to continue some discussion about desire and the vital importance of desire that I'm just discovering for myself and really having some wow moments about. One of them surfaced as a result of observing that now I'm doing this process of mind mapping and graphic recording of basically every experience in my life, whether it's through my sketches or my art journals or actual mind mapping with words and a specific process. But I've been having a lot of fun with it, and it was sort of a natural outgrowth of my art practice. And I was just noticing today that it's something I do so effortlessly. It's so ridiculously easy for me to do. And I keep learning. I'm so interested in it. I always look at examples and how other people are doing it and practice my own way of doing it to discover more about it. But it's literally something I do without any effort at all. I just remember to take my sketchbook and my pens everywhere I go. And since I enjoy it, I'm doing it all the time. And it's something I share, and when I've recently had the courage to share these maps with people after I've listened to either meetings or phone conferences, I realized, wow, I've created something pretty valuable in terms of a different way to capture an experience of words and talking and delivering information, and that artifact has a life of its own that can be shared and experienced in its own way. And it's so incredible to me that I'm creating value in a way that feels absolutely effortless to me. So I've heard this talked about so many times. You know, when you hear the coaches talk about finding your superpower, or people saying, you know, what your unique gift is what you do without thinking or trying, but just what naturally flows. And what I notice about this, and my personal experience with this, is that this is something I never allowed myself to do and never knew I could do my whole life. So I'm 39 years old, and just in the last month, I've discovered this ability to try my hand at mind mapping or graphic recording. And I just started by taking experience I had and said, what if I did that? Art and drawing and everything related to that was always something I thought was what other people did. And I had my own things that I was good at, but not that. And so when we talk about desire, we have to include those desires that have been silenced inside of us or disallowed for perhaps our entire lifetime. That we may have defined ourselves by a belief that is actually not true. And it's probably not, because a belief is never big enough to include who we really are. It's just a thought. And one thought, it's like saying one atom is an entire molecule. It's not the whole. It's a part within a whole. And so as I see how desire is something that I'm really learning about, and learning how to connect with, how to discern what my desires are and how to act on them, it feels completely foreign. It feels like I'm always doing it wrong, and I'm always taking a risk that is totally impractical. And yet I see that this is actually my real life unfolding in terms of my life as a being and a vital energetic component of this field and matrix that we're in. Not the Matrix, the movie, but the larger energetic field matrix. And so desire, which had been ignored, suppressed, disallowed, maligned my whole life, as like, don't pay attention to that. You don't need it. Pay attention to these other things. These are the important things. Forget about that. It had been put off in a corner, divided and put into a corner and kept silent, is actually the life force. So think about that. Imagine that your life force may be exactly the thing that you are hiding in the basement. And no one will know about, and therefore the world around you will never be enriched, touched, and created from the part that's in the basement, in a box somewhere that you put away and said, don't even pay attention to it. And I'll tell you this, that what's emerging for me is, what if the greatest value that I have to bring into this world and to create is exactly what is ridiculously easy, effortless, and totally natural to me, that I'm generating it in volumes every single day without assigning it any value at all, because of my limited belief that life has to be hard. So this can't be life. What comes ridiculously easy to me can't be my life. I'm looking over here for what's hard. And so I continue to struggle and I continue to push up against those walls, only because I am, in my mind, looking for the evidence to prove that I'm right about life being hard. And I've heard all these messages so many times from all of these great manifestation teachers and spiritual teachers, but at some point it really clicks. And I'm making these videos to share the moments when it's clicking for me that, wow, what if it's that easy? That's the value that I'm here to add and create, and from which my deepest desires and wildest dreams for my life will unfold. Because that's the expression of me being in harmony with all of life, when I'm in harmony with desire. And thankfully I don't have a religious tradition on top of my cultural tradition, which was enough to suppress my desire. But I've heard from those who do have a religious tradition that desire is something that is systematically suppressed in many religious traditions. So imagine that we unpack all of the assignments of value that we've given to desire and just connect with the pure experience of heart's desire. And it's an art form to begin to become sensitive to what's truly a desire. Because usually, in my experience, my desires are very, very quiet. They're very definite, but they don't scream as loudly as the voice in my head that screams about practicality and cannot and how. The desire feels like a yes, maybe a quickening, and somewhere in the center of my chest there's like a leaning forward, there's an interest, there's a widening of the eyes within my heart that tells me it's a desire. And so quickly there's a habitual response where my brain says, nah, forget it. Nah. Don't pay attention to that. Go on, do your job. Clean the floors. Worry about money. These kind of things, like, it's so habitual to just come in right away after desire and have a whole list of very rational seeming reasons why all these other ideas are more important than desire. Now I'm beginning to pay attention to how miraculous it is that life serves me up these experiences that touch my desire and give me the chance to respond to them and say, yes, I do want to explore that. I am interested in that. I would like to do that. How many times in a day are we actually touched to that place in the center of our heart, which is true desire? And my commitment in my life now is to live from that place where more and more of my daily experience is about touching desire and allowing my desire to touch the world. And how magical is that if we were able to encounter and be with people who are acting from desire? How magical would that be? Let's think of the average workplace. How many people there actually bring their true desire into the workplace? And what would it be like if that percentage were higher? Let's say 100%. What would it be like? And let's dream big. That there were these name tags at the grocery store at our community market where the people staffing the tables of samples are called product enthusiasts. And we love that word when we saw it at the store. And I imagined a world in which every single person in their jobs had the word enthusiast in it. And whatever the word that came before it, fill in the blank, but they're all enthusiasts. What if we could all do what we are enthusiastically desiring to do in our life? This is not a societal question. This is not about waiting for the system to create the jobs for you to slot into. This is an individual interior exploration question, and it's an empowerment question to discover your desire, to go into your own basement, into the box that you put in the corner of the closet for someday someone to deal with. Maybe after you died, someone would have to go through these boxes and find out. At that point, your desire can no longer come into the world and live through you and as you, as life. And so our work is to go in that basement, find that desire, just open the box, look at it, let it breathe a little, let it come into your awareness, let it become part of your life. And the magic is there's not much to do after that. After opening the box, looking at it and bringing it into your awareness, paying attention to it, not shoving it down. The mystery and the magic of life is that you all of a sudden, when there's breathing space for that desire and you begin to say yes to it, the opportunities keep coming. And the only war that we're waging is the one between breathing life into that desire and being willing to hear the screaming loud voices in the top of your head that come from the conditioning of practicality and how are you going to do that? And the meanness of those voices can be pretty harsh. And to be able to ignore them and keep breathing life into this desire, keep moving forward from desire, and to just allow that to carry you. That's work, that's practice, but it doesn't have to be hard. You can choose, and I choose, to make that an easy and fun process and an amazing process to watch as it unfolds, because life then becomes, where will my desire carry me next? And it's a total adventure. So my desire brought me to this point of becoming an artist, a visual artist, where I'm actually confronted with the decisions of an artist, which are, what do I desire? What do I want to do here next? Because it's really a blank canvas. It's open. It's all up for possibility. It's all up for grabs, decision making, or just allowing something to flow through. And so I've been thinking about why it is of interest for people to connect, and why I want to share the story of how I became an artist or discovered that I was an artist. And it's because of what I just shared, and realizing that this was something I completely blocked off as off limits, as I don't do that, I'll never do that, I can't do that, that's not me. In terms of drawing or anything visual, it was not me. I had my art, it was music, I thought. But it was through following desire, through a chain of events that I'm not going to cover completely here, but it was over this 5-year period of unfolding that I stumbled into doing art through something else. It was through Thai massage and exchanging massage with a couple artist friends who said, okay, in exchange for massage, why don't you come and play with some art stuff? And I said, oh gosh, wow, cool. And they gave me access to all their materials, and I got to just experience that wow. And that's how it all started for me. And I continued. So I continued to practice. I followed that desire. I followed the feeling of wow. I got myself set up and started doing it. I didn't wait until I could become famous and do it. I didn't wait to try to figure out if it was going to make any money before I did it. I started. And I still don't have any idea what the money will be, but I don't care because I'm just doing it. And I'm sharing it. And it will show me as long as I keep following my desire and being courageous about sharing and not feeling like I have to be something in order to do that. And I was thinking about today why, I just made a video about sacred obligation and what that means. And if we've been to hell and we've come out, our sacred obligation is to go back and tell about that. And so the question for me was, what is my hell? What is the particular hell that I know? And if I were to think of the time in my life that was truly hell, it was the time from when I started to apply to medical school through the end of medical school. Because it was one big lie. I had to pretend that I wanted to do something that I didn't want to do. I had to fake desire. And I have so many stories of that process, and everyone has the same question that you rehearse in medical school applications, interviews, essays. Why do you want to be a doctor? And that's the worst question to try to answer when you're lying. Because you can become the parrot that says, I want to help other people, which is what 99% of people say when they go into medicine. I want to help other people. Well, great. Don't we all? We all should want to help other people. And we do actually, humanly, want to help other people. But what does that mean? It's a very vague statement. And we all sort of reach into our backgrounds, and that's why they tell you in high school, if you want to get into medical school, you go volunteer in a hospital, which I didn't buy into. I didn't want to volunteer in hospitals. I didn't want to spend any time in hospitals. So I didn't do it. And, I told the story of teaching violin in my medical school application process. That was my experience of helping people. That's all I could tell. I could not, I sort of briefly mentioned the science, and I had no connection to my science studies in college, even though I did a thesis in biochemical sciences, graduated with honors, Harvard University, Harvard Medical School Laboratory, did my thesis, cutting up mice, looking at them under the microscope. I did the whole thing, had no desire. Zero. This is the strength of my will we're talking about, that I had so much resolve to get through what I had to get through so that someday maybe I might be able to do what I wanted to do. I really think I'm not alone with this. And I'm just sharing honestly from this perspective now, because it is hell to live like that. It's very lonely, and I was very angry most of the time. And I resented people who had social connections, and I resented environments that demanded social interaction from me because I didn't want to lie anymore. I was lying every moment of my life. Why would I want to do that in my free time? So, here's the thing that I realized when I was thinking about, okay, how does my hell story relate to kind of what I want to bring back to people in medical environments, and why do I want to speak to doctors? Because I actually don't think I'm the only one who's lying about wanting to be in medicine and sort of trying to fake it until I make it, and then realizing that it's a lot of misery to swallow if you're just faking it. And the hell of medical school was not the inhumane treatment, because actually it feels better to be dehumanized when you know you're lying about what you want to be doing. It actually feels better to have the environment reflect back to you what you really think of yourself. So the problem is, I think, not to make medical school a kinder, gentler place, but to wake people up to what it is, what is their true desire, and to live from that, and to choose every day to live from desire, and to allow that choice to unfold into whatever it is, and not to have to wedge it in to the square pegs of the medical system and the specialties that are available on the menu of options that we have sort of divided up the human body and existence into 21 categories, and that's it. And I'll just disclose just very briefly that a very new area that I'm going into that has a lot of excitement for me is, finally, I've found a teacher who found me. Another chain of coincidences starting with desire. But I found a teacher who appears to have, for the past 40 years, been making connections between the anatomical human body and thought, imagination, spirit, desire, and language. And has brought these things together in such a beautiful way. I'm diving in. I'm going to be studying the optical aspect of it, which is a version, an evolution of iridology, not iridology, but an evolution of that into another way to access information about thought, emotion, feeling, experience, consciousness through anatomical structures of the body. So finally, this link that I've been developing and searching for and seeing, first through Thai massage and Brima body work, and now through this other aspect of the actual anatomical body, is coming into my experience. And so I say that because this is where my desire has led me. It's led me all the way back to connecting the dots from what I was taught before in the scientific medical realm to this new way of experiencing, which resonates directly with my desire and my experience. And I wish to share it with whomever wishes to join me in the conversation. So that's my sharing and excitement from today, and the rain has started and everyone's happy.